There is an oral saying from Rabbi Nachman, an oral like teaching or saying or anecdote or aphorism, or how you call it, that once Rabbi Nachman said like this, that if somebody comes up to you and says, how's it going? And you say, oh, it's just terrible, everything is down the drain, my whole life is upside down, everything is miserable and I'm just suffering and this and that. So Hashem says, suffering? You call that suffering? I'll show you what it is really to suffer and to have a hard time. I'll show you what is a real hard time. Whereas, if when approached by a person, how's it going? And you're really going through a hard time, fine. But you say, Boch Hashem, Hashem is great. Like they say in Yiddish, mit grois chesed. Everything is with a lot of chesed, a lot of kindness. Everything could have been worse. Everything is, Hashem is kind. In when I'm going through, everything is just great. So Hashem says, I know, who you kidding? I know you're going through a hard time. So I will make it now that it's really good for you. So there are people who hear this statement and they get shocked, they get bewildered. Because in a way, a person who's suffering, he's suffering. What do you want from him? It's on one hand, it's justified that a person complains and lets out screams and cries and ouches and complains because of the pain. And then you tell us from this just little saying here that Hashem makes it worse for the person. What's going on here? I mean, the person is going through a hard time. Why should he be punished by more suffering if already he's having a hard time and it's really a hard time? Why more? So we have to understand something. Your perspective in life is what determines, and think closely about this, your perspective in life is what determines if what you are going through is suffering or not. Two people could be going through the exact same thing. One guy is dancing in the streets, the other guy, he's crying and screaming and cursing at people and depressed and leave me alone and that. They're going through the exact same thing. Why? Why is one guy handling it good and the other guy is about to pass out? Why? Because of the perspective. The person is given free will before being hit to try to find the expansions, the good, the handle that is good in what they're going through. Because Hashem never throws 100% misery and pain and suffering to a person. It seems to a person, oh my God, it's unbelievable. And the person makes it to seem 100%, but with free will there, Hashem sends an opening for a person to be able to look that it could have been worse, that at least this didn't happen, at least that didn't happen, thank God this didn't happen, thank God I didn't lose this, I didn't lose that, thank God. But the person does not choose to look at that. So then, to help a person to, yes, look positive, from heaven, they increase the quote-unquote pressure, the suffering, to make it now even more difficult for a person. So to test him now, are you going to continue complaining? Because now you can compare it to it was less worse and now it's worse. And you can say, it wasn't as if it wasn't bad enough, now it's even worse. Or you can say, okay, I admit, I see that Hashem was good beforehand. I thank you, Hashem. When from heaven they see that you now get into the movement of being able to find that there is good in what you're going through and it's not completely bad and garbage and miserable. So then from heaven they begin to restrain and to send more expansions and goodnesses and let you become aware of them and to recognize them and to thank Hashem about them. Because the main, Rabbi Nachman teaches, the main chayut, the main life to get out of all difficult situations is for sure simcha, joy. But to get to this simcha, you have to find it. You have to recognize that there is good happening in your life and it's not just 100% bad like you think it is and like you feel it is. To get out of that attitude. So this is the attitude behind this teaching of Rabbi Nachman of not complaining, meaning try to find some good. You are allowed to complain. In a way, you have to complain in life. Someone pinches you, you can't just shut your mouth and not oh, ouch. You have to say an ouch. You have to let it out. But the thing is, along with the ouch, do you also admit that it was good? It could have been worse. There were expansions. Thank God for this. Thank God I have this. Thank God I'm able to still walk. I'm able to breathe still. Are you able to also recognize the good? That's the test. And if you don't, so you get squeezed a bit more until you do admit that it's good and thank Hashem. And then Hashem begins opening up the doors. B'ezrat Hashem.